Associations were surveyed last year. 100% of them said that they were being disrupted. 47% of associations, and this is across 60 different sectors, said that the impacts were either high or extreme. So you would wonder then that 100% of them should be innovating. Well, are they? Well, the same survey shows that 72% of associations in Australia self-rated their innovation as either poor or mediocre. So what are they saying? 3/4 of associations are saying, essentially, that they're stuck. They know they're being disrupted, and yet they're not responding, or not responding as well as they could. So the point here is that if they can't respond to disruption and evolve, how are they going to tackle all of the other burning issues that face associations? The same survey showed that the top threats facing associations are these. Now, how many of these resonate with you? And I believe this is where associations need to innovate. Let's take traditional mindsets. Innovating for the next new thing or the next greatest product is not going to solve the traditional mindset. It's a catch-22. But imagine if we could fix that one, how much more receptive the organization would be to change, to progress, to digitization, to innovation, if we could shift that one. So the solution here is cultural change. Board capability. This is another catch-22. The innovation and progress agenda necessarily starts with the board. But what if they lack the capability? It becomes a vicious cycle. So the solution there is governance reform. Changing member needs. This is where every association really needs to have a very clear future focus. What are the members' needs? Where are they going? Where are we going? Expectations are rising quite dramatically as well. Government policy. Changes in government policy and government funding. Well, that's going to force an association to accelerate its external strategy. Whether that's getting better at advocacy, whether that's launching new revenue streams to offset some lost income streams, or delivering programs and services in a different manner. And then insufficient resources. There are two questions here. Does insufficient resources stop associations from innovating and progressing? Or do associations have insufficient resources because they haven't been innovative with external strategy and income generating activities? Now, there's truth in both statements, but the first one kind of keeps you stuck. The second one is empowering because it means you can do something about it. You can use innovation and progress as an opportunity to tackle the insufficient resources. And disruption is there for plain to see. It's something that needs a response. Okay, so all of the solutions can be found in a 6-step roadmap, and it starts with disruption. It starts with responding to disruption. The second step is mission. If markets have changed and are being disrupted, how can mission, vision, and goals still be completely relevant? It's about clarity. Step 3 is having the right governance structure to be able to deliver that mission. Step 4 is a very business-like approach to external strategy, and that's growing members, growing income, and growing impacts in the marketplace. But all three of those must be linked to the mission. They don't exist in isolation. And then internal alignment. Systems and processes, staff culture, all aligned to support those mission goals, to support the external strategy. If you have those 5, you can move into future focus and develop the capability to deliver that next big thing. And then the cycle repeats again. But there are a couple of shifts in thinking that are required for this one. And the first one is about positioning. Associations traditionally were formed as like a central hub around which markets could cooperate. And being in the middle, they were absolutely indispensable, dispersing products and services to the members. However, that hub and spoke model has been replaced by a network economy, And like the internet itself, it has no heart, it has no center. It's a big jumble of organizations, commercial, non-profit, associations, really fighting to deliver value. So what does this mean? This necessarily means that any one single organization is dispensable. Think about the most powerful association in Australia. What would happen if it disappeared? A whole bunch of competitors would come and fill that void. Imagine what would happen if any of your associations disappeared. Your members would carry on. They would just find their products and services from other sources. So this is not doom and gloom, this is just reality. But the point is that the very act of accepting vulnerability or the fact that you're not completely indispensable is a catalyst for change and progress. And the associations that are most at risk are those that still think they are the central hub of those old hub and spoke models. So it's that knowing that we can be replaced that can lead to catalysts and going forward. So I might take questions right at the end. So let me put forward the concepts and then we can discuss them going forward. All right, the second one is our relationship with the corporate sector. Now, back in the old days, capitalism used to be really simple. Corporates would focus on profits and growth, and non-profits would deal with the other issues facing society and the economy, including associations. But those lines have been blurred. We're seeing new business models that are looking to deliver the best of both worlds. We've got new business models like conscious capitalism, like the creation of shared value, like B corporations that are trying to do some good in society and also be commercially successful. So I believe the organization of the future really will maintain the best traits of the association and the corporate sector and mitigate the weaknesses. So what are the best traits of corporates? Prosperity, profit, growth. They have very clear mission goals. Smart, lean governance structures. Commercial strategies that move this forward. Internal alignment in order to create that prosperity and growth and innovation. But the downside of the corporate world, it can be greed. As we saw with the Volkswagen emission scandals, as we saw with the behavior of some banks. So, the corporate world has some things that can teach us selectively. All right, let's get back to the 6-step roadmap. Okay, disruption. Let me share an example. I interviewed Jodie Sangster of ADMA, which at that time was the Australian Direct Marketing Association. Now, she tells the story of when she first joined, and she was speaking to one of her clients, one of her major clients, which is in the marketing arena, and they told her that they did not identify as direct marketers. Now, she's running the Australian Direct Marketing Association, so suddenly the epiphany was the lexicon of the industry had moved forward. They were no longer relevant. So she had two choices. The first one was to fight back and try to reimpose that lexicon, that direct marketing vision. Or step two was to let go and to recreate what the market really needed. And she did the latter, obviously. So what they did was really smart. They changed the name of the organization to the Australian Data-Driven and Marketing Association, but it's very smart because they kept the acronym, which had some brand value. They stopped trying to be all things to all people, and they focused on the key things that would firstly drive membership. Why would members want to join? And secondly, what's their biggest problem that they could solve? So they came up, for them, it was international trends, was what marketeers wanted. And the second one was a skills gap. They wanted to learn how to do this new vision of marketing. So what that led to was a whole matrix of services for a whole different categories of marketeers, from the CEO, CMO, right down to junior marketers. And it created a new educational program, a new training program for them, which sold so well that it developed a really good income stream. But not only for their own members, they're helping them with education and helping the association with a credible income stream. They have white labeled this, and they are selling it to other associations. So this is now getting to reach marketeers beyond their beyond their membership base. So they're actually doing some real good in their sector. A couple of years ago, they took over the Digital Marketing Association, so they are absolutely thriving. And it all came down from that first point, that first admittance, the vulnerability that, oh my gosh, we may no longer be relevant. And that vulnerability takes a lot of courage. Okay, mission. So, when was the last time, in the face of all the disruption that we know is happening, that you, with your board and the leadership team, debated your mission, your vision, your objectives in the context of all of this change? Because if markets have changed, how can mission, vision, and objectives still be completely current? I think this is a great opportunity. A mission it should not be a tick box exercise. Yes, we have a mission. Yes, we have a vision. It's not about that. It's about, why do you exist? What are we here for? And everything ties back to mission. Because if you can have a very clear proposition of what that is, every question that you have will align back into it. From your external strategy to your advocacy aims, comes back to that mission. When you look at a lot of association websites about us, what do you see? We are the peak body for this. We are the leading association in our sector. We help our members. We are the voice of the industry. But these statements don't really add value. What do they really mean? I think the performance trifecta is really about clarity, measurement, and accountability. And a great association that has done this is, or a good example is, the Australian Physiotherapy Association. They put their objectives boldly onto their website for public scrutiny. Why would they do this? Why would they put themselves up for scrutiny? Well, clarity, measurement, and accountability. The clarity tells everyone internally where the association is going. It's a roadmap to the future. It tells the members exactly what the plan is. So everybody knows where they're going. The benchmarks, which is the measurement of it, provide an early warning signal to when they kind of go off track so that they can take corrective action and come back on track. And then the third one, really the accountability, it creates trust. Members have that sense that, gosh, you're really doing some stuff for us. You really, have some bold objectives. You put a line in the sand of what you want to achieve. And internally, the accountability drives continuous improvement. So it improves the organization internally and externally. Governance.
Sorry, I'm just repeating the trifecta again.
The trifecta, okay, it's clarity, measurement, and accountability. And we'll talk more about that as well when we get into what this means for your associations. Okay, governance. I believe that you cannot be a modern association without a contemporary board. I just don't think it's possible. And a very good example is Engineers Australia. They took what used to be a highly traditional organisation into one with a mandate for progressive change. They identified a few years back now that the one thing that had been holding them back was their antiquated governance structure. And they needed to be lean, fast, and responsive to the market. So governance reform became the foundation of a complete strategic alignment, and now they're innovating abundantly. And if you want to see an epitome of what the future of associations look like, go and visit their head office in Melbourne. It is an amazing, collaborative, member-focused hub. So, some of the questions on governance is, what is the administrative burden that is holding us back? What are the skill sets required on the board? How can we be faster, more agile, more responsive? With the governance in place, the external strategy, and ultimately that's about three things. It's about growing members, it's about growing income, and it's about growing impacts. And again, all three linked back to mission. They don't exist in isolation. So let's look at membership. What do members want? I believe they want truth, clarity, and confidence. They want to know that their association is honestly, genuinely working hard on their behalf. They want to know exactly what their association is doing and how it's going. And the confidence is they want to feel a sense of pride in the achievements of the association going forward, so they can feel part of that community. So this is a mindset shift, and I think changing the engagement with members to deliver those three things can have tremendous ramifications in the strategy going forward. Okay, growing income. I believe a business-like approach is required, and this is the area where we can learn from corporates. It means innovation, not business as usual. It means being competitive, and by competitive I mean so that members choose you voluntarily. It means delivering value. It means creating a point of difference that helps your members so that you can grow in line with them. And then in terms of impact and influence, and we're talking really, I guess, here about stakeholder relations or government relations, I believe there needs to be a shift from an activity focus to a relationship focus and then a legacy focus. Every association can detail activity, what committees they attended, what papers that they wrote, who they met, who they lobbied. Some can demonstrate a good working relationship with government, things that are done collaboratively. But very few can demonstrate a direct causal link between the advocacy efforts and some direct outcomes in terms of be that policy. But isn't that what the legacy is about? Isn't that what market influence and impact is about? Outcomes. So I believe that also needs a very business-like approach. Internal. This is about internal systems, processes, and staff culture absolutely supporting the external strategy and the mission. If you get the systems right and the culture right, you will develop a progressive, innovative mindset within the organization. But if you don't, this is where all the other good work will fail. Because organizations don't innovate, people do. Take Kodak. They didn't fail for want of a big idea. They invented the digital camera. What killed them was that some people internally hated the idea and they blocked it. It was that traditional mindset, that lack of alignment that killed them. So, two things to do. Clear systems and processes that make life easy not only internally but externally as well. And I think the Institute of Public Works Engineering Australia is a great example. The systems and processes that were put in, I think some years ago, had a ramification in terms of driving membership up and also opening opportunities for new commercial revenue drivers that are linked to membership. And then the other one is about staff culture. To encourage an innovative, progressive mindset so that the team can strive for progress, but also that they won't be punished if they try and fall short. It's about bringing in an acceptance that there is some risk when you progress, when you innovate. And it's okay to sometimes fail. And sometimes you can learn some good lessons, because that's when staff are comfortable with the fact that, okay, it is okay that we maybe don't reach it all, that's how they can move forward. If you do all of that, if you do all of those 5 things, you will create a little time, a little space to peek out over all the operational work and create future focus. And future focus is not the domain of creative geniuses, like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, although they do a pretty amazing job. It is a process. And Gary Hamel, who's widely acknowledged as one of the foremost strategic business thinkers in the world, posits 3 questions to organizations that want to increase future focus. The first one, what percentage of your time is spent looking outward instead of inward? So the second question is, of that outward time, what percentage is spent thinking forward 5+ years? And then thirdly, of the outward forward time, what percentage is spent sharing a perspective, a well-tested perspective of what that looks like? the future is what you make it. It is a process. What you focus on expands. Now I can hear you saying, but hang on a minute, I'm so busy. It's hard enough just getting through the day-to-day stuff. Well, that's where the roadmap comes into play. Because if you respond to disruption, if you clarify your mission, if you modernize your governance, if you accelerate your commercial strategy externally, and you align the internal systems and processes, you will create a little time and a little space to be able to focus on the future. The beauty of the 6-step roadmap is that it all leads to future focus. And each one is an opportunity for innovation and progress. But it's also a sequential cycle. So the question there is, where do you start? Well, you can start anywhere. Start with the area that's holding you back the most. Or start with the area that's easiest to tackle. It really doesn't matter. What matters most is that you do start.